Welcome back to Lost Odyssey. Alright. To the cave. Not the bat cave, just a regular cave.
Aww.
Are there any more dreams I should be knowing about?
Yes, there's gonna be a dream in this part, yes. Alright. So let's first check Sarah's, and yes, her actual full name is Sarah Susilard? However you pronounce that.
I need to have a look at the last name.
Yeah, me too.
Considering she was married to Kaim, you'd think you would be Sarah Argonar, but I guess not.
Well, I forgot what it's called.
People can get married but keep their last name.
Sure.
The maiden name, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes they incorporate both last names into their last name, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, should we tell the people that the old wicked sorceress was actually the old tenant of the house, or just leave them blissfully unaware?
They don't need to know that.
Good.
All they need to know is that the evil sorceress is gone. So... Alright. Here it is. The Black Cave. Very good.
I digress.
Very good, Sasakuchi Sensei. I bet it took you like a full 2 minutes to come up with that name for this cave. Then again, like in Final Fantasy IX, it's literally just called the Ice Cave.
The Ice Cave, yeah. Well,
so I guess Sakaguchi's not very good at names, dungeon names. I mean,
he definitely comes from a more basic time.
Mm-hmm. There you go. See, just Black Cave.
It's not even that black. It's more like blue.
Yeah, that's what I said. It looks more blue instead of black.
Double da.
I guess Blue Cave wouldn't have been that intimidating a name.
I guess so.
Call it Cerulean. I don't know.
Pokemon's already got that.
Yeah, the Pokemon Company would definitely sue Microsoft if that would happen.
What's left of them?
Men from the village?
I imagine so.
Glowing bats.
Hey, wait a minute. I thought you said the cave critters would leave us alone if we didn't bug them.
I lied.
What they were supposed to do.
It would seem that the monsters are acting more erratic than usual.
Something terribly ominous.
Stay alert.
So so what you're saying is the monsters have been increasing. Got it.
Or in this case, they become aggressive.
What? Don't tell me you
Zubats.
Don't tell me you people expected a dungeon to actually go easy on you.
But yeah, Sarah is yet another mage. Yeah, this game seems to have a knacker for having spellcasters for the vast majority of your party members.
And I'm not complaining a single bit.
I can't imagine why.
Well, the main bad guy is also a sorcerer, so maybe the game's trying to say.
It's more like
mind over
specifically
muscle.
also staff user. Sure, one of it, the spellcaster of the two children is not using. Okay, is she using a staff? I forgot.
I'm pretty sure
It's staff. It's staff. Yes.
Oh yeah, she still uses a staff. We haven't seen any, every single playable character yet, so don't worry, Trevor. You'll be able to see still a bit of variety.
It's already gone.
But yeah, the vast majority of your main party members actually are staff wielders. It's more interesting than anything. Like it was clearly one of those things that they decided when making it, to be a specific choice.
I get the feeling the logic was okay. First off, we have Seth as the badass swordswoman, and then they thought, okay, for the Queen of Numara, let's make her a sorceress because, we are just for the sake of her not just being like Seth, right? When it comes to Sarah, they probably thought, okay, if we make her a swordswoman as well, there's not much difference. She's basically just female Kaim, so they thought making her a mage would make her stand out more.
Well, my point is that, usually to give a variety, again, kind of like the old Final Fantasy, to give a variety in weapon, like say someone wearing a spear, for example,
That is true.
Yeah, you could have You
But
could
then again,
limbs.
for Blue Dragon, they did not even
This
buff
game-
everyone just
yeah.
quite barehanded.
Yeah, the game has different types of magic, specific... Oh, hold on. Cutscene first.
Alright, who said they wouldn't attack? Because it wasn't me!
Ah,
Some mysterious power was driving them, making them attack us. Didn't you feel it? But why?
It's something evil.
You mean Gongora?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Couldn't it be that this world's
Huh.
natural magic energy is having some kind of effect?
So would you say that nature is out of balance?
basically, yeah.
Remember, Grandstaff tends to do that, you know, as we showcase, it literally, you know, manipulates the forces of magic and it causes unbalance.
So even when he's not directly hurting us, Gongora is a pain in our
Yeah.
sides.
The game has different kinds of magic: black magic, white magic, spirit magic, and composite magic.
Not look good!
But when it comes to and yes, technically there are, like, because, like, for example, Jansen is a black mage, whereas Cook is a white mage, right? But outside from black mages and white mages and regular mages, which is what Sarah and Ming are, because they can do both kinds of magic. Aside from that, we just have physical fighters, because Mac is, I mean, I guess you can say Mac is a monk, I guess. But he doesn't really have much in terms of typical monk abilities. He's a physical fighter, but, like, I'm not sure if I would call him a monk. Whereas Kaim and Zev are just swords people.
I can tell that Sakaguchi with both this and Blue Dragon
Yeah.
was, I guess, going against the usual trend.
Like you
with
said, Joe,
classes.
we haven't seen all the playable characters yet, so there's still a bit of variety, but oh, memory.
Yeah, there's gonna be one
So
more
you can't
character.
give this guy
Sorry.
advice.
So yeah, Dream has been revealed. There's gonna be one more character that actually uses a gun, but that's it. Aside from that, there's not really that much more in terms of variety from what we've seen so far. Anyway, the tragedy of the Butcher General. Oh boy, this is one of my personal favorites. Everyone knows this general as the Butcher, which will be played by Duez, by the way. He is strong in battle, a skilled tactician. He has mastered the techniques of turning the specifics of topography and timing to his advantage, and he is outstanding, above all in the skills of an individual warrior. Victory on the battlefield, however, does not lead straight to butchery. Many generals have been nicknamed for their military prowess. The victorious, the indomitable, the invincible, but only one is known as the Butcher.
I guess on the plus side, you can be a killer in Clock Tower 3.
I don't butcher them, I just shoot them.
Dang.
Go ahead, Duez.
Do you know why that is, Kaim?
The general himself asks as he gloats over the vast mountain of corpses. Kaim does not reply. He entered the fray as a mercenary, but his exploits far outclass those of the regular troops. For the general to call a man into his presence and speak to him face to face is apparently an honor beyond even most officers' wildest dreams.
So the general's a murder hobo.
I guess he you know, climbed
Go ahead, Duez.
the ranks like that. So,
Not just from winning battles.
The general goes on.
That would be too simple. Just kill the enemy general. Take the big one's head and the battle's over. Right?
Kaim nods in silence. That is how this battle should have ended instead of continuing for 3 days. The enemy general proposed a surrender on the first day. He offered his head in exchange for the lives of his men and the villagers, but the Butcher rejected the offer and continued his all-out attack on an enemy that had lost the will to fight, annihilating them in the process. The last day was used to burn down the forest into which the unresisting villagers had fled. Jesus.
It's like that gag in The Simpsons. And the Springfielders heroically slaughtered their enemies as they prayed for mercy.
I guess so. Go ahead, Liz.
The real battle doesn't end when you raise the victory song on the battlefield. If even one person survives, the seed of hatred lives on. I'm talking about the desire for revenge. Nothing good can come from leaving that behind. You must cut the cause of future troubles at the root.
This is why the troops under the general's command killed the young men of the village after they were through exterminating the enemy troops. They also killed the unarmed old people. They killed mothers fleeing with children in their arms. They killed the children they stripped from those mothers' corpses.
Those children would have grown up to be dictators.
not just the men, the women and children. I slaughter them like beasts.
Go ahead.
Do you think me cruel, Kaim?
I do.
Kaim answered, nodding.
Who asked you?
You actually. The officers that gathered around them went pale, but the butcher himself smiled magnanimously and went on.
You didn't do any of those things, I gather.
My job is to kill soldiers on the battlefield. My contract doesn't call for anything else.
The
How would
contract
you
says
like
to
to
follow
make
my
a bonus?
orders.
How would you like to make a bonus on the side?
And I'm saying that is a foolish line of thinking. The soldiers you killed have brothers and... Oh, is this kind?
No,
It's you. Go
The
on.
soldiers you killed have brothers and children. Do you plan to go on living in fear of their revenge? That is sheer stupidity. If you wipe out the entire family, you can live without such worries, you see.
The general laughs applausedly, and the surrounding officers all smile in response. Kaim, however, his expression is changed, starts to walk away.
Where are you going, Kaim?
Yep, we are through talking, aren't we? My contract has ended.
Never mind that, just wait.
When the general says this, several soldiers tend to block Kaim's way. See, this is why I cast Wiz as the butcher. Go ahead, Wiz.
Listen, Kaim, I've had reports of your performance from the front lines. What do you say to fighting under me from now on? You can exploit your martial talents to the full.
Kiaminaina.
What's that?
I will never draw my sword on an armed opponent.
The butcher is momentarily taken aback, the shock written clearly on his face. What is this? Someone of compassion?
You still don't understand, do you? You should try reading a little history. You'll find that hatred only breeds more hatred. This is what inevitably brings down even the most prosperous nations and powers, which is why I make absolutely sure to sever it at the roots.
If you ask me in general, war and butchery are two different things.
What are you...
The same goes for valor and brutality.
You, a lowly mercenary, dare to lecture me?
Most unorthodox.
Let me tell you something about hatred, too, General. It doesn't evaporate from cutting off a life. It remains in the earth, in the clouds, in the wind. I live my life in that belief, and intend to go on doing so.
I do for your mercenary skills that will treat you stupid.
Butchery is the work of cowards. That is what I believe.
Where do you get the nerve?
The general glares at Kaim, and his men draw their swords. At that very moment, from within the scorched forest, come the cries of soldiers.
Soldiers we haven't killed yet? Men, kill them!
Jesus.
Well, that is in character, to do this for credits.
He really is a murder hobo. Here are some! 5 of them still left! No, 6! Over there! They went that way!
Distracted by the shouts, the general commands his men.
Hurry! Capture them! Don't even let even one of them get away! Hurry! Hurry! You can't let them escape!
The men blocking Kaim begin to fidget, and none of them thinks to stop him as he calmly walks away.
Do you hear me? You must not let them escape! If even one of them gets away, I'll have your heads! All of you!
The general's calls are clearly those of a coward.
Well?
Hold on. Suspense. The butcher
My retina's been gone.
The butcher presided over many battles after that, and he burned countless villages to the ground, butchering all of their inhabitants.
Hey,
Sorry, dude, we needed to burn our retinas for a second.
I stopped those kids growing up to be Hitler.
Then one night something happened. The general felt a strange itching sensation on the back of his hand. It was different from an ordinary insect bite or skin eruption. It was deeper down and felt like a kind of squirming. He clawed at his skin, but the itch would not subside. It was very strange. There was no redness or swelling or sign of a rash.
Maybe I touched a poisonous moth. Yeah, this general's a time traveler. He goes back in time, and to make sure a dictator doesn't come, he just kills everybody.
Also, no. That's Hinamizawa syndrome.
The general had burnt yet another village to the ground that day. Surrounded by beautiful countryside, the villages in times of peace had been extolled as the flowering hamlet. In keeping with the name, the villagers poured their energies into cultivating flowers of many hues, and the ones in full bloom in this particular season had the color of the setting sun. Indeed, the entire village looked as if it had been dyed the color of a beautiful afterglow. This was the village that the general burned down with flames far redder than any sunset. The villagers, who ran in circles begging for their lives, he killed one at a time. Far redder than the sunset, far redder than the flames was the blood that soaked into the earth.
Interesting.
Any last
It's not...
I can imagine how one of them went. Any last requests?
Yep.
You were too slow.
I guess so. Go ahead, Liz.
But this is how it always is. I didn't do anything special today.
Shaking the hand that refused to stop itching, the general took a swallow of liquor, and in that moment it happened. Tearing through the thin skin of the back of his hand, a number of small, grain-like things emerged from within.
Yeah.
No blood flowed. No pain accompanied them, exactly the way plants sprout from the earth. No, the things that covered over the back of his hand before his very eyes were, unmistakably, plant sprouts.
Oh my god, it's the happening! The plants are finally attacking!
There you go.
So this turned into the happening for something.
Plastic. I'm talking to a plastic plant. I'm still doing it.
This is what the plants' true ultimate goal was going to be. Turn
Horrified,
people into plants.
the general took a razor to the back of his hand and tried to shave the things off. When the blade came in contact with them, however, they gave off sounds like human moans. Sounds exactly like the moans of a human being dying in agony as his entire body is slashed by swords. Or like the moans of a person who is being burned alive. Go ahead.
Shut up, damn you! Shut up, you hellish!
Holding the razor in one hand to shave the other, he could not cover his ears.
Men, fetch me my headphones! Oh, they don't exist yet. Shit!
This is literally divine justice. His body was soaked in a greasy sweat by the time he succeeded in shaving the horrible things from the back of his hand. To solve his own anger, he shouted for the men who were supposed to be guarding him.
Where the hell have you been?
Sir?
Sir?
You should have come running when you heard unusual voices coming from my tent. That is your job as my guards.
The guards gave each other puzzled looks, and the first replied hesitantly to the general. Go ahead, Jova.
Forgive me, sir. We were just standing just outside the entrance, but we never heard any such.
You're fired.
Oh god, he's losing
from
it.
life.
Yeah, from life.
The general glared at his guards, enraged, but after struggling to keep his welling anger in check, he shouted.
Oh, never mind then. Get out!
He was too upset to waste time on subordinates. Almost immediately, the itching attacked the back of his hand again. But this time it was not limited to his hand. His flanks, his shoulders, his buttocks, behind his knees. His whole body started to itch.
Pretty sure Freddy Krueger killed someone this way at one point.
See, the thing is, as far as we can tell, alone again, the general tore off his night clothes and inspected his entire body in the moonlight seeping through the roof of the tent. The things were sprouting from everywhere now, and some even had leaves beginning to grow on them. The general raised a soundless scream and began wildly attacking the groves whenever he could reach them. Each one he cut from his body released a horrible moan. Horrible, horrible, horrible. His bed sheets turned green before his eyes, and soon the numberless sprouts were transformed into numberless human corpses. They covered not only his bed, but the whole earth, before they melted into the darkness of night and vanished.
I wonder if this is just finally his inner guilt bubbling to the surface.
Also, I think there was a horror movie where it was a still about killer plants where it grow. I think Pedro's reviewed it. That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like this dream. It has a very interesting horror spin to it compared to the other dreams.
Also, it's interesting. Normally, we stick with Kaim on the perspective, but this is one of those rare times we stick with the person he visited afterwards.
One sleepless night followed another in endless succession. The horrible things kept sprouting from his skin however much he cut them off. Ointments had no effect. He tried taking every poison-quelling tablet he could get his hands on, but nothing worked. He could not speak of this to his subordinates. If a rumor spread that strange plants was sprouting from the butcher's body, he would embolden his enemies and discourage his allies. One of his subordinates might even try to take his head at night. So yeah.
Or
doesn't feel
maybe you just need help.
Some divine justice torture for you, Butcher. His cowardice had earned him the name of the Butcher, and that same cowardice was what turned the general into a lonely, isolated man. He had no one he could tell about this. Each night the general would wage his lonely battle, though perhaps it could not be called a battle precisely. The things merely sprouted from his body and put up no resistance. When he took the razor to them, they would simply moan and fall away. What the general was engaged in on his own was less a battle than lonely butchery.
On himself, no less.
This is one of the easiest and quickest ways to go literally insane and mad. Several more nights went by. The sprouting continued with undiminished force. The single fortunate aspect, perhaps, was that the things were only sprouted in places on his body where the general could reach with his razor. This could as well have been a curse, however. The general had no choice but to go on shaving the things precisely because he could reach them. Precisely because he was able to perform the butchery by himself. He could not call for help. His lonely butchery continued. His sleepless nights continued. The general's flesh wasted away.
Is this what 8 Crazy Nights was going to be before?
Maybe. Must have been very awkward to shave off those bits from his nether regions.
Tips?
Why is this happening?
The general asked himself.
Why did this have to happen to me?
I wonder why. This
What
time
did
of
I
war.
do?
Sorry, go on, carry on.
This is
Sorry.
a time of war. I'm here on the battlefield. I have to kill the enemy in order to survive. In order to give myself future peace of mind, I have to kill them all, both armed and unarmed. It's simple common sense.
The general all but spit out the words.
All I've done is the sensible thing in the most sensible way.
Look,
Wait,
don't
if you
play
think
this like
so-
a tabletop RPG, my dude.
If you think so, General, that this night again the sprouts emerged from his body. This night again the general had to shave them off. Again the countless moans. Again the countless bodies. Again he heard the cock crow to announce the end of night. Again the general passed the night without the comfort of sleep. And we mentioned that we mean the rooster, by the way.
No. You see, they were growing even down there, honestly.
Oh God, Jesus. Thanks for putting that image in my mind. The general's body, once superbly conditioned on the battlefield, withered away before his own eyes. But more than his body, his mind became unstable. Well, he spent his days sprawled on his bed. Eyes open or closed, he would see images of his past scenes of butchery. Well, yeah, it was only a matter of time until he went insane from this. Now he began to recall the words of a skilled but insolent mercenary. Hatred doesn't evaporate from cutting off a life. It remains in the earth, in the clouds, in the wind. The general wanted to see that man again. To see him and ask him again.
Have I been wrong all these years?
Maybe.
What do you think?
The man himself, a man of few words, would probably not answer his question. Still, the general wanted to see him again. That mercenary, that Kaim fellow. The sun went down. The night gradually deepened. As always, the itching started and the plants began to sprout. But the general, grasping the razor in fingers that now looked like withered branches, no longer had the strength to shave them off. I guess that's what happens when you do this every night. His back began to itch. This was the first time the things had sprouted someplace beyond his reach, as if they had been waiting for this opportune moment. Sprawling on his bed, the general let the razor drop from his hand. There's-
Enough. I don't care anymore.
I guess so. The sprouts kept growing, creeping over him, and before long, they had covered him completely. At that point, his back split open and an unusually large sprout emerged. By dawn, the sprout had fully matured, and before the cock crowed, it produced a single blossom, the color of an evening afterglow. There you go. The village he burned literally took revenge.
Oh, what a beautiful flower.
This is why they showed the orange thing with the afterglow. It's thematic.
Lovely.
Many long years have passed. Visiting the old battlefield, Kaim finds a flower garden there. Blooming in profusion are flowers of clearly different shape and color than the ones along its border.
No way. Did that guy actually get turned into a garden?
Beside the garden stands a stone monument inscribed with the garden's history. In this place, a great general met his end. He was known as the Butcher. He died suddenly one night. Even from his body grew many flowering plants. They were evening flowers, a blossom unique to a village the general had burnt to the ground. An ancient legend tells us that the seeds of the evening flower lodge in the bodies of those who nourish hatred in their breasts, and the roots of the plant feed the flowers with the person's flesh.
Doctors had a field day diagnosing this. Also, wow, so that wasn't all in his head. I honestly thought it was.
That's quite dark. A flower that literally feeds on hatred.
I think, Jova, the interpretation is that the initial it wasn't, but at the moment of killing him, it actually was.
The garden's flowers, the color of the setting sun, sway in a gentle breeze. Kaim stands there for a time, gazing at the countless flowers given birth by hatred, before walking in on silence. It is said that in the very center of the garden lies a disintegrating suit of armor, but no one has ever found it.
So, Tia, your interpretation is like, the cutting was, a mental battle, but when he gave up, then that final thing actually was real.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Cook and Mac, this is what I was speaking while looking at the corpse. What do you think?
Grandfather, is this your way of teaching us a lesson? Because I'm very scared.
But no.
I can just imagine Kaim telling that story to his kids. And if you're very bad, this will happen to you too. The end.
Exactly. No, that particular dream really stands out to me because first off, it's the only cutscene again. Hold on. I don't remember if this one is voiced or not.
Boop.
I think it's probably not. Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's
what's
not.
that? What's that thing? It's all lit up.
Oh, that's a firefly. Those are pretty rare.
Dang. Fireflies are rare over there, okay.
It's a kind of insect that lights up in the dark. If you're gentle to them, they can be used as light.
Actually, I'm trying to remember if it was implied that this world takes place in, like, the apocalyptic...
I'm not so sure about this.
post-apocalyptic future of the real world.
Oh, stop being such a wimp. Here, put one on your shoulder. See? It'll stay there. With a cave like this, you never know where the pitfalls may be. It could be pretty dangerous, so we need to protect our light sources.
Oh, I know how this goes. I played Spyro, so we gotta avoid getting hit, otherwise we lose our Firefly.
Not really. Remember, the battles are random, so you can't avoid battles.
To answer your question, Jova, technically yes. Remember, the dreams do mention the fact that there have been countless civilizations and villages that Kaim and to an extent the other immortals have traveled to and that collapsed and got rebuilt upon, stuff that is not even documented. It's just a matter that this does, and it's on one of RPGs that include the ancient civilization who left a bunch of, ruins and technology outside of a few specific things like we saw, for example, in the forest, but it's not really as important as it was, for example, in Blue Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mainly wonder just because, they mentioned fireflies being rare, whereas, well, at least here nowadays, fireflies are pretty common, so I'm wondering if this is... Oh. What do we have? Oh, my. Don't yell, they'll notice you!
But yeah, no, that dream in particular really stands out to me. First off, because of the horror element, which makes it a nice change of pace from the other dreams. And again, and the overall cathartic punishment at the end makes it feel, gives it kind of a dark fairy tale type of feel. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like it's a classic moral, alright, meant to scare the heavens out of all the kids. That being said, it is an interesting take with the general, though, where I do genuinely think he believes he's doing right by ending the cycle of violence in his own way.
Well, not necessarily doing right, he's just applying the evil overlord list when you get down to it.
True. I mean, points for efficiency there. Shame he had to do it with, the one plant that happens to be just for that exact scenario.
It's a different combination of things. What comes around goes around. The idea that someone who's dedicated to killing in battle might be killed by something so insignificant that he's not expecting. The idea of traditions, of a village that would be otherwise peaceful manages to trump over someone that's bloodthirsty. Again, it's a combination of different things coalescing into one.
Still, you gotta admit, it's very interesting to run into a plant that infects you, but will only kill you and turn you into a garden if you just happen to be a murder hobo.
It's very similar to a lot of Japanese folklore tales.
Yeah. That's why Yeah, that's why I definitely agree with that one having a bit of a fairy tale moral theme to it. Like, granted, it is something that happened. Kaim now remembers that, but it does feel like just that right equation of, yeah, don't do this or this might happen to you. Maybe not the exact same way, but in the similar spirit.
The bat is called the Night Flyer. Okay.
You know, I wonder, whenever Kaim is reminded of some of these things, do you think he ever takes the person who reminds him of something aside and says, look, don't go down this path. I've seen where it goes.
Not really. The actual case where where people potentially trigger this, he just stands there and once he's done, he just walks away.
Oh yeah, I get that. But can you imagine that maybe sometimes he thinks to just tell that person, man, no, just don't.
Well, in this case, he couldn't because there was a corpse that reminded him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, in that case, you can't just go, hey, look, buddy, you're going down a wrong path here to the corpse. Although it'd be funny if the corpse says, no, I'm going down the wrong path. I'm literally decomposing.
He's got a bone to pick with you, sure. There's the thing also, Joe, about the Firefly. It's not entirely possible that they apply the whole call the rabbit as merp type of trope, or, the opposite. The idea that in this case, the bug, even if it resembles the properties of a Firefly, might be still different, and we just call it that. It's very common in a couple of fantasy, stories to usually zigzag and play around with the concept. Just for a recent example, the DLC of Elden Ring is a monster base literally labeled as a golden hippopotamus, and I can assure you that in design is anything but an hippopotamus.
Oh boy.
Indeed.
Also, yeah, be careful not to fall.
Gotta be careful not to fall off here.
I wonder if we'll get to hear Omochao say that.
Let me tell you about the Sonic and Shadows games.
I get the idea that's what the Firefly is for, avoid watching your step.
Alright, let's keep going. Basically, like they said, make good use of the light so you can try your best not to fall into any holes.
Does collecting more of those fireflies do anything?
No, you can only have one firefly at a time. The only thing it does when you touch another rock is it recharges it, because each firefly is only with you for a limited time. But if you touch a rock, even with a firefly already on your shoulder, it just restarts the timer. So
Crash Bandicoot logic, Jova.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, if you run out, you'll just have to fumble in the dark.
Yeah, basically. It's still obviously it's possible to do the dungeon without it, but obviously it's not recommended.
It probably helps though that the dungeon, at least at this point, seems to be very linear and narrow.
Well, most of the dungeons in this game are. Anyway, all right. See you for the next part, everybody.
Yeah.
See ya.